After the deadly flood over Memorial Weekend in Wimberley, county leaders are looking at installing emergency sirens. Today, the county met with a vendor for a demonstration of how their siren works. They tested the siren at 2 different locations on the Blanco River. The siren would alert people in the area of an approaching flood. The county has yet to commit to buying sirens and may explore other options. A reminder, experts say sirens should never be your only way to receive weather warnings. One way is through the KXAN weather app, which will warn you when the weather turns dangerous. Typically, after any major disaster, county staff will compile a report on the emergency response, what went right and what didn't. That way, they can be better prepared for the next flood or fire. But it has now been 8 months since the Memorial Day flood swept through Hays County, and there is still no sign of a report from the county's Office of Emergency Management. KXAN investigator Robert Maxwell is here now to tell us why.
Shannon, Hays County simply doesn't have an easy answer on when that report will be available. Part of the holdup, we're told, that second flood in late October that inundated parts of Hays County again. They tell me that that double hit has left their emergency planning department, a staff of 1 person, scrambling. Now, I'm told the expected report will combine spring and fall events. Staff say that's because the October storm compounded ongoing recovery efforts. I received a letter from Hays County staff. In part, it reads, "After-action reports are important to the citizens and governments of Hays County, but must not take priority over actual response and recovery operations. Our AAR, after-action report, will be compiled and distributed when we feel it is appropriate," end quote. Yet without a list of lessons learned in Hays, it could be tougher for county commissioners to plan for the next storm. Let me give you a point of comparison. In Blanco County's flood report right next door, it referred to dispatchers overwhelmed with calls and a lack of emergency staff on hand. We heard that impact from a couple whose house is on the Blanco River. And last year they told me as the river rose, they knew any rescuers wouldn't be coming.
We were blocked off here, and there's a creek down that way that was flooded. So, I mean, we were an island, more or less, so they couldn't get to us. I mean, I think we all understood that.
Now, Blanco's a smaller county, of course, but its flood report came out in just weeks. And Shannon, here in Austin, after the 2013 Halloween floods, you remember how staff compiled an after-action report. It took them about 6 months.
And we remember that report resulted in a lot of big changes.
Right. The Austin Fire Department, for one, now has more rescue boats, and they're better positioned around the city. Austin officials also worked with the U.S. Geological Survey to fix several flood gauges that failed in the 2013 storm. They also added 21 extra call takers at the 911 center, and those staff are now trained on how to share information when people are trapped in a flood. And there are much more in the way of changes that Austin made. We've compiled them for you. You can read about them by heading to our website. Click on the Investigations tab now at the top of KXAN.com.
Robert, thank you. Jim, it is so important to learn from these floods because the conditions can really change so fast.
That Blanco River flood was a classic example of that, Shannon. Just absolutely incredible what happened. I have posted on the weather blog right now not only a link to Robert's story, but the information back from that Memorial Day flood. And you're going to find when you click on that a graph that is just really mind-blowing. At 10:30 that night, the river was not even at flood stage, under 9 feet. 1 hour later, the river was at 26 feet in a major flood, and just 30 minutes later, it was at an all-time historic level above 32 feet. Check